You definitely need to follow these 5 key tips recommended by top LinkedIn specialists and career development practitioners to help maximize your LinkedIn visibility and make sure that potential employers are able to find you. Hey, it's the Chia from Brand24. Welcome to the Social Recap, our rundown of the latest highlights from social media and digital marketing news. So in the last recap, we talked about the key best practices that are part of every good email marketing campaign, and we also looked at some of the different strategies that Facebook and YouTube are implementing to incentivize their creators and developers. Well, this time, we're catching up on groundbreaking developments from Google, fresh updates from YouTube and Twitter, along with 5 simple but very important LinkedIn tips to help you boost your profile so you can use the career networking platform as a way to make meaningful and useful professional connections. Anyway, now let's get started with Twitter. So Twitter is now letting their users broadcast live audio and only live audio, both through the main app as well as on the Twitter-owned live streaming app Periscope. Twitter has had live video broadcasting for nearly 2 years now, and while public live streaming had its moment on the platform, the feature, well, it hasn't really been getting used very much lately, especially with public interest turning towards more professional media and gaming videos. And by turning its attention towards audio now, Twitter is seizing the opportunity to repurpose and breathe fresh life into its original live broadcasting feature with an audio-first twist. Users can broadcast live audio now through Twitter and Periscope on iOS. And Google has some new developments for us. Google Assistant is getting smarter and smarter all the time. First, the engineers over at Google AI were able to teach the assistant to schedule appointments over the phone. And then it learned how to carry out fixed routines. And now it's even bilingual. Google Assistant has become the first bilingual virtual assistant on the market with the ability to respond to voice commands in 2 different languages. Right now, users can choose 2 languages from a list that includes English, French, German, Italian, Japanese, and Spanish. Folks over at Google are currently working on adding Hindi, Indonesian, Korean, Brazilian Portuguese, and Thai to the list. And another date from Google is one that researchers, journalists, and other fact-checkers will appreciate. Google has released a new Dataset Search Tool to help researchers uncover publicly available data that too often gets buried deep inside the internet. Users can search for datasets on the website, and the tool will scrape government databases, digital libraries, public sources, and personal websites to find it. If the data is structured using schema.org's markup or equivalent structures mentioned in the W3C, the Google Dataset Search Tool will find it. And a growing rumor has it that Google wants to get rid of the URL. URLs, or Uniform Resource Locators, are the addresses that we use to open a file on the web, such as a website. Now, opening a file on our own computers is easy. You just find it and double-click on it. Opening a remote file, which is what we do when we go onto a website, is a little more complicated. For example, to access Google, you would enter the URL in the navigation bar. This URL looks pretty simple because it's just taking us to the main page of Google. But a URL can also take us to other places, like login pages, to a direct image, or help us download videos, and more. It can start to get pretty complicated, like with this URL on Google Docs, and there are many much longer and much more complex URLs out there. UTM links, shorteners, and redirect schemes only make it more complicated, which can lead to phishing scams, false impersonation of legit websites, and other types of criminal cyber activity. So a few years ago, Google came out with the origin chip, which showed users the main domain of the site that they were on. And when they clicked on the chip, the rest of the URL turned into a Google search box. So while this ensured that users could identify the domain that they were actually browsing on, it didn't quite meet the needs of a real URL, and the project, well, it was paused. The Google Chrome team is currently researching different methods of approaching the traditional URL, and they're aiming for more public discussions in the fall or spring. And now, the recently launched Facebook Creator Studio might have been a bit overshadowed by Facebook Watch, which was launched at the same time, but the Creator Studio is a handy new feature that can help creators manage their Facebook pages and understand how their content is performing. Creators can see how individual posts are doing, access soundtracks and different sound effects, coordinate cross-posting between pages, and find out which types of content performs the best in terms of views, returning viewers, and reactions, even across multiple pages. And just a couple months ago in July, YouTube started rolling out their dark theme to a select handful of users. Now it looks like they'll be making the layout available to more Android users in the new update. The dark theme makes it easier for viewers to watch videos in the dark and can also help certain devices conserve energy. So if you're watching YouTube on a device with an AMOLED screen, your screen lights up individual pixels instead of the entire area with a backlight. And more black pixels means less energy is exerted. If you have an LCD or IPS screen, this won't affect your energy conservation because your pixels are getting lit up no matter what. And now, if you're active on LinkedIn, you probably created your account to make professional connections and treat the site as a type of career networking platform, with your personal profile acting like an online resume. If that's what you're doing, or if that's your goal, then you definitely need to follow these 5 key tips recommended by top LinkedIn specialists and career development practitioners to help maximize your LinkedIn visibility and make sure that potential employers are able to find you. So first, you need to make sure your profile looks good. Even if you're in between jobs and not currently employed, make sure that your current position section is filled in. Up to 86% of potential job candidates that are approached by employers and recruiters are already actively employed. And there's no need to be dishonest in your profile. If you're not employed now, you can just provide information about the activities that you're currently involved in, like networking, researching, or studying, and list your employer as quote-unquote various. LinkedIn specialists recommend avoiding the term seeking opportunities so that you don't come off as overeager, let's say. Secondly, ask for some recommendations from people you've worked with and who know you. The point of having a public profile is so that your connections can get to know you a little better. All the more important for potential employers who, unless they really do know you, are only able to get just a fuzzy idea of your strengths, and that's at best. Thirdly, switch on the setting that lets employers know that you're available, even if you're already employed. Fourthly, if you contact any employers directly, make sure that your message is personalized and not a generic canned message that could be forwarded to every single employer. And fifth, really use the platform and see if you have any connections in the industry or company that you want to work in. Ask them for some tips or even an introduction. And if you don't have any connections yet, interact with potential employers by commenting on their posts or tactfully participate in their discussions on different LinkedIn groups. It's all about building a network that can lead to meaningful connections as well as interesting career opportunities. And that's it for episode 18. If you want to stay on top of key developments from social media and digital marketing, subscribe to the Social Recap on YouTube. And just in case you prefer, we're also available on Soundcloud as an audio podcast and on the blog, with each post containing relevant links to the topics discussed, along with a few extra resources. You can find links to the podcast and the blog in the description of this video. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.